Louie CK.
Yes.
Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
He came to the Comedy Cellar. Where was this? Like in New York, I think, and did a set just unannounced, and pissed off a lot of people. Well, pissed off a lot of feminists because he got, as far as I understand, he got. I don't know if he got a standing ovation, but people were clapping.
Well, this is after he's been accused of the things that he was doing, right?
Well, he's been out of the spotlight for like 9 months.
Right. And then he just came and did a spontaneous spot at the Cellar.
Mm-hmm.
What did he say?
He just did some. They say he just was trying out new material. They said part of his set. He said something about, he had some comedy bit about rape whistles or something.
I wonder if it's on the internet.
No, it's not. But because I definitely would have seen it.
Well,
I don't think they allow you to pull out set. I think they might even confiscate your cell phones at those places, because a lot of comics, they work on their material in these comedy clubs, and then they'll do like a Netflix special.
Right.
That's what Dave Chappelle was doing. He was going to these comedy clubs and just trying out material, and then they were confiscating phones.
Yeah.
And he would do his material, and then, like I said, then he got paid $20 million to do a Netflix special.
He did, yeah. And what he did is he just filmed like 3 of his shows, and that was his Netflix special.
Yeah.
And they were awesome. All 3 of them were freaking awesome. He is one of the.
Right.
He's probably the best comedian.
But if you get paid $20 million, I would be doing one every 3 months or something. I would get the material.
Let me tell you about Dave Chappelle, man. He's learned how to play the game that he wouldn't play before. Mm-hmm. He was about to get screwed by he felt he was about to get screwed by Comedy Central, and so he turned them down. But he's learned, he's matured, and he was like, I'm gonna come out and get my money, and I'm gone. You know, he's in this new movie with Bradley Cooper. Yeah. And what's her name?
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga, yeah. And
Lady Gaga has had some work.
You think?
Every time I see her, I don't recognize her, because it's like she's had some plastic surgery.
She may have. I
think she had a boob job. I saw that trailer when I went in for this, and I was looking at her and it looked like she had.
Well, I think that it's called A Star Is Born, that movie. Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to that. She's
had a nose job. I know that for certain. But I think
she was pretty in this one, in that trailer.
But I didn't recognize her. I said, who is this?
I'm telling you what, another actor that we're going to be talking about for years is Bradley Cooper. Mm. That man is a good actor.
You act like he's not already famous or something.
I'm just talking about he's going to be up there with the great actors like De Niro and Pacino and these guys that are just phenomenal. Mm. Who was the one that did Scarface? Was the big boss Marlon Brando? Marlon Brando is a great actor.
He didn't do Scarface, so that was Pacino.
No, Marlon Brando was in Scarface as Pacino's boss. Like in the first Scarface. He's like, I'm going to give you an offer you can't refuse.
You thinking about Godfather.
Oh, sorry. Wrong movie. My bad. The Godfather.
You said Scarface, like, what? Brando was in Scarface.
Yeah. Was Pacino in Godfather? Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got the actors right.
Yeah.
Just not,
wrong movie.
That's a movie. I do that sometimes, and I'll be convinced in my head that I'm right, and be talking away. But
do you think he should be able to come back, Louie CK? Because listen, he didn't do anything criminal. His thing was he masturbated in front of some fellow comics, some women.
I mean,
which is still pretty bad.
There's no law against being a scumball, you know.
But should he be able to come back and make a living at comedy again? What's your opinion?
Has he apologized for it? Has he accepted responsibility for what he did?
I've heard he didn't directly apologize. He kind of admits that he was wrong. You have to read it, the statement he released where he admitted that the women were not lying. But I think a lot of women have a problem because he never overtly says "I'm sorry" in the statement.
Well, let me ask you this.
But it had the. I felt like it had the.
What did his audience say? Because I don't see a lot of feminists going to his shows in the first place. Because he's kind of a crude comic, and he's.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his act were he's the only comedian I think who could joke about well, maybe not, because I've seen Chris Rock joke about abortion. He did a set about abortion. He did one when he hosted Saturday Night Live. He made jokes about pedophiles. And they were funny.
And I mean,
but his stuff was, you know, the subjects. Knowing what we know about him now, those subject matters make it all the more creepy that he was talking. He used those as part of his act.
Right.
So I'm like, this is my thing. I can see why women don't think he should be able to come back. Cause and I see you got a lot of men saying, "Well, he did. What did he really do that was so bad?" But I'm thinking, some of these guys are not seeing it from the perspective they should see it. If some guy who you were friends with invited you into a back room and said, "Hey, I'm going to masturbate in front of you. Is that okay?" You would probably kick his ass.
Yeah.
But because it happened to some women, kind of in a, they can't put themselves in the play. You see what I'm saying? They can't really.
Well, I mean,
because it happened to a woman.
But my question is who does that?
It doesn't make any sense to me that I don't see why there's some kind of kink he has.
Well, he needs some mental help.
He needs some mental help, but on one hand, he didn't do anything criminal.
Well, isn't exposing yourself to somebody?
I don't know.
Like a misdemeanor?
If you do it outside, because I know you know homeless people have been arrested for doing that in public. Indecent exposure, but if you do it inside, I don't know. I don't think there's any law in the books, but it's still wrong. It's still objectively wrong. I mean, just think if your daughter, some guy did that in front of your daughter, you would want to kill them.
I would need the law.
Even though there's no crime committed, you wouldn't hesitate. I know I would.
Well, there'd be a crime in my law book.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I think whether it's actually illegal or not is not the point. There are certain things you just do not do. Even though he didn't touch the women, he didn't force them, he didn't block their way, he didn't block the door or anything. But still, it's unconscionable that anybody could say, "Oh, it's not that bad." And I've seen a lot of that on the internet.
But as far
it's a really complicated issue though. But should he be denied the ability to make a living?
I don't think so. If he can still draw an audience, I mean,
yeah, there's gonna be people who want to see him.
then let those people see him, and then the people don't like, stay away from him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we still live in America, and it's a free country, and you have the right to pursue your own paths in this country, and
right.
I mean, he lost a freaking crap ton of money after that.
Well,
he lost that show he was doing.
On the flip side, even if he never works again, he's probably set for life. It is
true.
He probably has enough money where he doesn't need to work.
And he could comedy write in his office at his house and probably make a crap ton
under assumed name.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to stop his comedy from coming out.
Right.
It may not be with his name, in lights, but he could write for third party for some comedy director, and he is a good writer, good comedy writer.
He is.
So I just say, I mean, he's despicable for doing that. For my opinion, I could never fathom pulling my junk out in front of, even if I knew some women.
I just don't understand what.
I think
he got something sexual from it, though.
There's a deeper psychological issue at work here.
There's something, deep mentally.
And he needs to go get some help for that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like to condemn people for their kinks. People have kinks. But
they also say the comedy world is like just full of like debacle and
they're not
drunkenness.
Comedians aren't normal people.
No, they're
they
not.
Have
they live in a place in their mind that's just not a healthy place to be all the time.
That's why you see a lot of comedians commit suicide. They're disturbed people.
Or they're all, I mean, just about every comedian I know smokes pot and drinks heavily.
Yeah. But there's another Me Too thing. You heard about this Asia Argento, I think her name is. She was accused of sleeping with a 17-year-old. She was one of the Harvey Weinstein accusers. She accused him of raping her.
Right.
And yet it came out that she had sex with a 17-year-old, I think it was 10 years ago. And he blackmailed her recently. And she paid him $300,000 because he was that was it was statutory, because they did it in California. It was statutory rape because the age of consent in California is 18. And all these people were saying, you accuse Harvey Weinstein, you raped this 17-year-old man, and this is weird. This is a weird story because to me, can you rape? Can a man be raped? First of all,
absolutely.
Let me rephrase that. Can a 70-year-old be raped?
I think
because
a mature woman who knows her way around a man could manipulate a kid into doing something he wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, but could she overpower him?
No.
She was 37 when she did this, and he was 17. And
it depends on your definition of what rape is.
Because 17-year-olds, they play high school football. You can be
very kids be screwing each other.
Right.
At those ages,
that's not emotionally.
The high schools are like brothels, man. Those kids.
Now, if you're she had screwed a 13 or 14-year-old, maybe. But first of all,
I think that's a slippery slope there.
People saying there's a double standard for her, but is there really a double standard? Because first of all, I don't think she could have physically overpowered him. Second of all, to have sex, he would have to be erect. Right?
Right.
So he would have to be into it to a certain extent. Okay, and another thing about this whole thing, he released TMZ obtained a picture, because see, she paid him off, and he wasn't going to reveal anything, but somehow it got out, and TMZ was able to obtain this picture of them in bed together. and they were able to prove that, yeah, she did, because she's been denying it, but that picture came out. She's in bed with him, and but see, this is the thing. They're in bed together, and you can tell they're naked. You only see them from like the neck up, but you can tell they're naked, just the way they're positioned. Because you can tell they're laying in the bed, first of all. But the thing is, they're both smiling. He has this big smile on his face. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the argument's going to be that he wasn't mature enough to make.
But see, decision. In California, in a lot of states, the age of consent is 16.
In South Carolina, it is.
And this is another thing. She's from Italy. The age of consent in Italy is 14.
What?
Yes. So my thinking is, in Europe, you know, they're a lot more liberal about sex than, you know, we have these Puritan roots over here in this country. We're more offended about a sex scene in the movie than a scene somebody getting their head chopped off. You know what I'm saying? Sex is way more objectionable in this country than violence. Over there, violence is more objectionable. You know, I know in Britain, I remember reading something about Terminator Judgment Day being released over there. They had to cut out, there's a scene where Arnold Schwarzenegger shooting the police officers, kneecapping those police officers. Over there, you can't like show kneecappings. And
really?
Yeah. They had to cut that scene down because he was kneecapping police officers. So they have a thing against violence, but they very liberal when it comes to sex. So you have a woman who's from a different culture where the age of consent is 14, and she's having sex with some virile 17-year-old. Because I was 17 once. If I would have banged a 37-year-old, and she was hot. She wasn't a hag, housewife.
Well, yeah,
at the time, if I would have banged somebody like her, that would have been considered an accomplishment. It would have been kind of like Stifler's mom from American Pie.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole movie was predicated on those guys losing their virginity before graduating, right?
Right.
So I just don't see how this guy could have been raped. I just don't think it's now if it would have been a 37-year-old man and a 17-year-old girl.
There is a double standard.
There's a double standard, but it makes sense because a man can overpower a 37-year-old man can overpower a 17-year-old girl.
Oh, absolutely.
So I mean, it's different.
Know. It's that's hard to call. Because I ask myself, what would I do if that was my 17-year-old son? Well, what would I do? She's hot and successful. I might be over there patting him on the back.
Right, exactly.
Going, attaboy.
Exactly. It's just inherently different.
And I know it's not fair, but, you know, reality is reality. Mm-hmm. You know, and I don't know. I don't know. I guess if you look at it from a law standpoint, then there is no gray
She did break the law.
There is no gray area. You know, it's not predicated to whether the offender is a man or a woman. The rules are in place for statutory rape based on the age difference of the participants. And she was older and knew better than to be sleeping with a 17-year-old kid, and she did. Therefore, she needs to be held accountable for such. Because how do you pick and choose who follows the law? You can't. Now, how you feel about it personally, that's a totally different story.
Right.
But the law's got to do what the law's got to do. And if he's not coming forward and it's all hearsay, then unless
they're investigating it.
Well, then she'll probably go down for it.
I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on that kind of stuff, though. I don't know.
I think it's like 7 years or something.
Yeah, so it might
How old is that kid now?
I don't know. Like I said, I think it was 10 years ago though, so I don't know. I heard they were investigating though, so I don't. I just thought that was fascinating though. But she's one of those women that accused Harvey Weinstein. Everybody's calling her this hypocrite, but I was like, is she a hypocrite? I don't know about that. They did say that after she was raped that first time by Harvey Weinstein, she actually had a consensual relationship with him afterwards.
So I guess it comes down to this: did Harvey Weinstein force himself on? Did he hold her down and force himself on her? Okay, that's a totally different situation than a very attractive older woman convincing a young man to have sex with her.
Well, and I think they TMZ unearthed some text she sent to a friend. It might have been one of her friends that exposed her, where she says he jumped her. And what had happened with this kid was an actor and she was a director of some movie. I forget the name of it. And when he was 7 years old, he was in one of her movies, playing her son, because she's an actor too. So they kind of had this mother-son relationship thing even after the movie.
Twisted, yeah.
But I think what happened with him, his career went nowhere, and he got to a point where he needed money, and this Me Too stuff happened, and he was like, "Hey, you kind of a hypocrite. Remember when we slept together?" And he got into this. Another element of this story. This story is just so crazy. You know, Anthony Bourdain, that guy who killed himself, that was her boyfriend, and it actually came out that she actually had him pay this kid off. It was actually his money. So not a lot of people are saying that may be why he killed himself.
Oh.
So this is a weird story, man.
Oh, that is some crazy stuff. Where do you find this stuff?
I go to these entertainment sites, and most of them talk about the same things. Right. You know, I go to AV Club and comicbook.com and all of these sites. They pretty much had a story about Louie CK, and they pretty much had, because that's kind of an entertainment. This whole Me Too thing has been followed by all these entertainment blogs pretty religiously.
Well,
and it is in our wheelhouse, but I just thought it's just fascinating to me. Both of these cases, because they're not cut and dry at all. Because like I said, with Louie CK, he didn't do anything criminal, I put in the quote, criminal, but at the same time, he did something that he could you could pretty much say he did something that a lot of people would kill him for, you know, if it was their daughter. Yeah,
and I mean, he wasn't alone in that. There was a slew of them Hollywood guys doing that stuff.
Yeah. He didn't rape anybody, he didn't assault anybody, but he just did something that is just weird.
Despicable.
And something, like I said, you wouldn't want. If he did it your daughter, you'd have different feelings. And a lot of these guys that are kind of saying, "Oh, well, he didn't do it," they would feel a lot differently if it was their daughter. Or if it was them, even if it was them. I mean, if a guy did that in front of them, they would, I guarantee you, they would not be cool with it.
Right, right.
But anyway, I just thought that was interesting. And then you got Chris Hardwick, who returned to the Talking Dead, and I was watching him. Did you see the first show where he came back?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
And he cried, and he thanked all his supporters. And
Hi, normally I recap the show we're about to talk about here, but instead, I really just want to take a minute, and I want to say that I am so appreciative to be standing here right now. And I want to thank you, the Walking Dead community, for all of your support these last couple of months. You know, the show is not just a job to me. This is a vital part of my life, you know, and this has been a sanctuary. These last 7 years we've been here. This has been with me through good times and bad times, and I have so much gratitude to you, the fans.
And it was kind of touching because you can see he's been through it. I also was watching his show though, and I hadn't watched it in a long time, and I think the last time I saw it, we were not doing this.
Right.
So I know what it is to host a show now. And I just realized watching him how talented he is.
Right, yeah, he's very good at it.
He's very good. I was just the way he's able to form thoughts in his
And he's
head.
funny too.
And how articulate he is about going through the show and making points and stuff. I'm just very impressed by that because I can't do that.
Yeah, and he was on America's Got Talent this year too.
Yeah.
He's been on there twice, I think, in the last 2 years. He's guest judged, and
he's got that game show too, The Wall or something.
I haven't seen it yet.
He's got a game show. That man had his fingers in so many different pies.
He's building his empire.
He had an empire, and he was almost.
He'll get it back, man, because he was found innocent. You know.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are saying, well, he wasn't cleared by. He was cleared by a law firm that worked for his wife's family, the Hearst family.
But didn't that girl retract her statement?
No, she didn't retract it. She came out and says she didn't even participate in that investigation. She refused to do it, which is her fault. But she said, she came out and said, I stand by everything I said. But then she says, well, I didn't want him to, I don't believe in an eye for an eye. I'm like, you're so full of malarkey.
If it really happened, she'd have been all up in there, man.
But the way she has handled this whole thing, she's been so disingenuous about her intentions. Because she said she never meant to have him identified, but she left all these details so people could identify him. And for some reason, she had to have closure on a social media site. Like, who does that? Who needs to get closure by? When has that even been a thing?
Right. I don't know, man.
She needed to get closure on a social media site. Makes no sense. And then she didn't participate in the investigation where they were trying to find out whether he actually did these things. But then she says, well, I don't retract anything I said. I stand behind it 100%. But no, I don't want him to lose his career. What are you trying to do? It don't make any sense.
Enough said.
I mean, everything she says contradicted something she just said. Why, if you didn't want to ruin his career, why are you still talking? Exactly. If you wanted closure, why are you still talking about it?
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
I mean, that tells me all I need to know, because would you take anyone serious that was accused? Say somebody was accusing you of doing something and said you did something really bad, but then they're not willing to participate in the investigation.
It doesn't, like I said, and you got all these supporters saying,
where do they get the eyewitness account in the investigation if the eyewitness?
She hasn't presented any evidence that any of this happened. Like I said in my binge list show, he's gotten testimony from his former girlfriends that they were not abused. He's released text messages showing that she wanted to get back with him 7 months after the fact. And there's also video online from her blog of her praising him, calling him the perfect boyfriend. And just praising him for all this stuff because she had some kind of surgery, and she describes how how great he was.
How good he took care of her.
Yeah.
Because I think I've seen that.
And then in the later post she made about the allegations she made, she said he was such a he was so harsh when he was at the house. It contradicts everything she says in that video, basically. So, and she's admitted that she's had mental illness in the past. So we're supposed to believe that he only abused one girlfriend who has mental issues
for just a short period of time.
For just a short period of time, who has admitted to having mental issues in the past. We're supposed to believe her over him, and he's released all this evidence, and he's been cleared by AMC, who did a outside investigation. But we're supposed to still believe her. It doesn't make any sense.
If I was him, I'd just keep trucking, man.
Yeah, I would be suing, but
I mean, what does she have that he would want? Just for the
she comes from a wealthy family. Her father is.
He probably just wants to.
Yeah.
Because
he doesn't need.
Leaving it at this, where it just makes her look like a complete dumbass. You know?
Well, this is another thing. Like 5 months before her allegations. Okay, first of all, he was getting married. He already married Lydia Hurst, and they were having a child. That came out. Because I'm thinking, I never really talked about what I think her motivations were for doing this. But he moved on. He got married. He's having a kid. There was an article that I read like 5 months before these accusations came out. He bought this $5 million house, this mansion. I mean, this man's on top of the world. He has all these. He had this show that he was going to do with LeBron James. That was supposed to be some kind of sports show. He just had all these gigs. You know, he has a game show. He has Talking Dead. He has America's Got Talent or whatever. So, I think the reason she did this, the one part of her allegation I found believable is the fact that she said she was blacklisted after they broke up. Because if you look at her IMDb page, she hasn't done anything since their breakup. She actually was on this show called Heroes of Cosplay because she's a cosplayer. She's one of these people that dresses up as superheroes and whatnot and go to conventions. She was actually on a show that centered on cosplayers. So that show, I guess, was canceled after they broke up. And she hasn't had everything on her resume is like short films and stuff. But she hasn't had anything. She was trying to become an actress at the time.
Well, you gotta ask this though. Was she blacklisted, or was it just the fact that everybody got wind that she was a little crazy?
I think this is what I think happened. They met because they were moving in the same circles. Because he's at a lot of these conventions, Comic-Con stuff. Yeah. He's a moderator or host or whatever on a lot of these panels at Comic-Con and all these other festivals. And that's how they met. So and she was kind of riding his coattails for a while. And I think it is believable. Whether he actually had a hand in blacklisting her, I don't know. It might have been just a situation where they were going to be on the same panel or within the same vicinity of a panel. And he was like to when the organizer, look, I don't feel comfortable with that. And they had to remove her. And as a result of that,
then it took her trajectory down.
Yeah, whether it was just that one time or maybe a lot of time, I don't know. The one part of her allegation I found believable is that it did affect her career breaking up with him because he's just the man when it comes to these conventions.
He rode up the popularity spike with The Walking Dead.
Right.
You know, because that's where he kind of got his start, was doing the Comic-Cons for The Walking Dead. And
Walking Dead is huge.
And it blew up, and he blew up with it.
Right.
And so when Walking Dead moved up into popularity and influence, he moved up with it. Well, there wasn't nowhere for her to go.
Right.
No
one's gonna. And yeah, she probably was black, but I don't know necessarily if he had a hand in it, because it might have been just everybody knew they were dating, everybody knew they broke up. It might have been just one of those things where people didn't want to make him uncomfortable, so they would not hire her.
It wouldn't have been him. It would have been the people managing him that would have.
Or it would have been the organizer of these conventions saying, "Well, we don't want to
create." He can't be funny if he's sitting there worrying about her.
Right. We can't put them in the vicinity of each other, and they're not going to. They're going to support him because he's bringing in that Walking Dead crowd. He's bringing in the money to these conventions. Mm-hmm. They're not going to support her. They're going to support him because he's the big wig. He's the big man on campus, so to speak. So I do think there's something that allegation that she was blacklisted. But like I said, I don't necessarily see it as a thing he could have done to her. It was just a consequence of them being in the same venues. Right.
And then,
as a result, she wanted to get revenge.
Right. Yeah.
And then this Me Too thing started, and she was like, "Wow, well, this would be a good way for me to get back at none of these women hardly any of these women that come out and accuse these men have show evidence. You're looking at these stories, and they never even file a police report, and it's just really weird." You don't really have to even have evidence to make an allegation. She just saw this is a very easy way to get back at them.
And it just devastates these men's lives.
Yeah.
I mean, because the networks and all the bigwigs are going to err on the side of caution, and they're going to pull that person off of everything.
And then you got these witch hunters too. You got these women saying, "Well, you have to believe the accusers no matter what," and it's just like, oh my God, this is crazy because we have a history of women lying about rape. There was just this there was this woman who accused these 2 football players of rape. She had consensual sex with these guys, but then she accused them of rape to get sympathy from this other guy she was interested in. She admitted this. Okay, she just got sentenced to like 2 years or something in prison. These guys' lives are ruined. They lost their scholarships and everything.
Talking about the Duke incident, right?
No, it wasn't Duke. It was these were 2 black. I know you're talking about the white guys.
Wasn't that the lacrosse team or something?
Yeah. These were like black football players and this white girl, and their lives were ruined. Even though she admitted to lying about them.
Because it's hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
From the stigma, it's hard to recover from the stigma. Once your name gets dragged through the mud, it's hard to wash that mud off.
Well, the media, they will broadcast the accusation, but they won't. Somebody retracts. That doesn't get enough.
That gets like page 6 in the newspaper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
But we're probably running out of space on that.
Yeah, we are. But just thought that was interesting. I just thought it was it's just so fascinating. This whole Me Too thing.
Well, it's always something, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm just glad that, I haven't had that many women to accuse me. I haven't had enough women to have one that would accuse me of doing something. But, I'm a lover, not a fighter anyway. I'm glad that I'm not in Hollywood and having to deal with all this.
Right.
People don't see me as a target. Yeah, make a little money.
If we make a little money off of this show,
that target starts growing on your back, the more money you make. That's true.
But anyway,
I think if I ever become a millionaire, I'll just go get castrated surgically. So they'll be like, "Look, there's no way I did anything because I don't have anything down there to do with it." No, I wouldn't do that. No. I think I'd take my chances. But, all right, man.
Well, that's it.
Yep, that's it for today. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us what you think, your opinions on this stuff. And we'll see you next time.
See you next week.